Hi, how's it going? I kind of feel like I'm not going to, because this would be really awkward, but I kind of want to, especially the guys that are sitting in the back, if everybody could just like come forward, we can like sit down, have like, more of a fireside chat. That would be fun. Actually, you guys are the best. Look at this. Okay, you guys, I've had a great day, but you guys just made my day. So what I thought I would talk about a little bit today is something that I look at and is relevant to this event and relevant to this amazing group and community of people. And I build community software. I run a company called Mighty Bell, and we enable communities to basically learn and share together in groups. And I've been passionate about community since I was a little kid growing up in Cupertino, California in the 70s and 80s, and everybody had some kind of weird interest. And what I've observed starting as a kid in Cupertino and watching just the rise of Apple and other software companies in Silicon Valley through college and after school and kind of the dawn of social media and kind of having a front row seat to that is a mistake that so many people make in the narrative about entrepreneurship, which is that it's all about the lone wolf, the visionary, that exists independent of the time and the place in which they operate, and that they look forward 10 years into the future and they get on their path and they just go, and they're told by everybody around them that they are absolutely insane. And this one individual, this one lone wolf, just keeps going. And then at the end, they've predicted the future, they've reinvented everything, and they did it all in this individual's hero's journey. What I know to be true is that is a false narrative. It's just simply not true. It wasn't true in the late 70s in Cupertino when Apple Computer came out of the Homebrew Computer Club and an environment and a set of weird circumstances that brought hippies and people that were engineers at defense contractors and research institutes and college students at Stanford and Cal and other places together into a close-knit community that were challenging each other, that were exploring ideas together, and that probably didn't look very different, except maybe for the facial, actually definitely not the facial hair, but the outfits than the room we're sitting in today. The only thing that was actually different was, and I don't actually know if it's different from today, but what was true and special about that moment in time, at an era and a time of the Homebrew Computer Club, my father was passionate about old cars and was a founding member of the Model T Club of Santa Clara County. My mom was in the guinea pig club. We raised guinea pigs at my house. We had like 30 of them. It was kind of intense. We actually had our own house in the back, which was the guinea pig house, where all of them lived. And every time there was a new interest, a new hobby, a new passion, you found other people that cared about the same thing. Fast forward, 20 years to 2003, 2004, when I met folks like Jay and Lane. And what I saw to be true is in a 5-block radius of each other, and we all kind of knew each other, were the creation of LinkedIn, Facebook, Ning, Twitter, and a whole host of Dig, although you guys weren't in Palo Alto. But everybody was actually interconnected. These weren't a bunch of lone wolves that were off looking at the future, but this was actually a close-knit community of people who shared ideas, challenges, opportunities. There was actually a surprising, and I think this still is the case, low amount of posturing and blowhardery, which I think is a word I just invented, TM. Not TMI, TM, no. But, so many times you show up at an event and you talk to somebody and it's like, hey, how's it going? Oh my God, dude, it has never gone better. Like, if I could drink more, out of the fire hose of amazingness of that what's happening to me right now, I would. And there's a very different conversation that I have seen happen amongst people who make the decision to build a close-knit community with other people who have the same shared interest of building a bigger and bigger pie. Instead, it's a conversation that looks a lot like, hey, how's it going? Well, I think this is going well and this is going well, but this is the problem that I can't seem to solve. Can we brainstorm together a potential solution? And I have seen that happen over and over and over again, and I truly believe that that is how new industries are created. I truly believe that this kind of close-knit community, that when you get past all the bullshit and you actually have a real conversation about those little tiny kernels of things that you're excited about, but that you're not actually sure work, those are the times and those are the moments that you create new things. And it truly is about small teams working together in a high-density area where there is a level of honesty that doesn't tend to happen. And I am passionate about this. So fast forward again, and I sort of started to ask myself last year, how could you actually recreate this at scale? How could you create this balance of private spaces or small communities that allow people to have a different kind of conversation than the one that you have at a dinner party or a cocktail party where there really isn't, those conditions set? And what even are those conditions by which an honest conversation happens that pushes the entire topic forward versus the sharing of blowhardery? Now I'm going to keep using that because I actually think it's kind of fun. Because we've all been in that conversation, like the one that you're like, whoa, wait, that's really interesting. Like, what just happened? Like, we're now talking about something that I was afraid to talk about. And I'm actually making progress on something that, if I was to just sit here and tell you my spiel, I don't necessarily know I'd make that same progress. So last year, in August, and I'd been thinking about this for a while, a friend of mine came to me and said she was writing a book. And I was like, that's awesome. And it's a topic I care a lot about, which is women's leadership, women working together on teams with men and other kinds of people that may not look like a standard homogeneous group of people. Because again, as I look at where really interesting things have happened, it doesn't necessarily take place with people that look and sound and feel and look exactly like you. And so she told me she's writing this book, and I was like, okay, so we should totally do this as an online community. We should pull in education topics from great professors that you only get access to if you're getting an MBA from Stanford or another business school. And then let's actually encourage people to self-organize into smaller groups, say 8 to 10 people, that then create different conditions for different kinds of conversations than you would find, in a normal networking event. And this past March, we launched leanin.org. Leanin.org is a global community of people who are dedicated to women leaning into their ambitions. It has 3 parts. The online community, which is basically anybody's welcome to show up and join the community. We have education topics. We now have 6 different education topics, ranging from a 20-minute TED Talk style lectures on topics related to power and influence, negotiation, team dynamics, storytelling, and one we just launched, which I think is super cool, which is Managing Difficult Conversations, which basically one of the greatest experts out there that people hire for lots and lots of money at big companies agreed to basically do these 20-minute lectures around how to actually make that difficult conversation constructive. This is not just for women. This is actually for everyone to be able to take in somewhat bite-sized chunks things that actually are, what I've also seen, get in the way of progress and get in the way of innovation. And so we launched this concept of lean-in circles, and we saw this take on a life of its own. We were proven right. Today there are 9,000 lean-in circles in all 50 states, across 50 countries. And the stories of how it's impacted, there's a father-daughter lean-in circle. There's a lean-in circle with women who are in the military. And there's a shared common language, not so dissimilar to being a part of the tech cocktail community, of a common language that lets people get to a real conversation quickly. And we balanced, or we were inspired a lot and used a lot of kind of the best practices of small groups. We used a lot of an organization that was so kind to be a partner to us called Young Presidents Organization and YPO forums. And as you think about, and the thing I would leave you with today is, as you think about the kinds of conversations you can have at this event and the kinds of conversations that you can choose to have with your own small, tight-knit community wherever you live, there's actually, I think, 4 or 5 principles that allow you to have a different kind of conversation. 1, choose true peers. So these are people that you don't feel... Dude, that was not me. Did I stand in the right way? Find true peers. Find a set of people who you feel like you can truly talk to, that are committed to your success and you're committed to theirs. 2, agree to absolute confidentiality. And this is actually the thing that we ran this experiment. We brought 1,000 people together in like this big conference room, and we like broke people up into groups of 10 people. And we asked people to commit to confidentiality. So here's 10 people. You guys, you can agree to it, you can choose not to agree to it, but if you choose not to agree to it, there's other places to be. And the difference in a conversation when people feel safe, and the learning that happens, and the way that you move forward, and the value that you get from it when you agree to it, is something I've never seen before. I certainly have never seen this before. 3rd is ask great questions and seek to understand. So the number of times, and I've seen this now more and more, where you start a conversation with someone and they immediately start with "you should," and they're not even listening to what you have to say. Like, this is now all about kind of where they're coming from. You don't want to be that person. A greater opportunity is to understand where this person's coming from, like what they're dealing with, the questions that you can ask around what makes you excited, or also like, let me understand, this is what I'm hearing you say. The 4th principle is share experiences, not advice. And I think this one's the most interesting, is every single person has a story that the rest of the group can learn from, and the person who's dealing with whatever issue that they have that they're sharing at that moment. And this is my favorite thing about YPO. It's all dudes. So if you guys think any of the stuff that I'm talking about right now is touchy-feely, by the way, they're going to get totally mad that I said it's all dudes. It's like 97% guys. But these are CEOs that basically, whose businesses are over like $10 million in revenue, and they take the time once a month to meet with 8 to 12 other CEOs. And the value of this kind of dynamic, this kind of close-knit community, is incredibly powerful. And it's powerful in part because of this point of sharing experiences, not advice. I think there's a fifth one, but I can't really remember it right now. So we'll go with the top four and see how it works. But one of the things that I think is so interesting as somebody who is passionate about communities and yet also bored by most cocktail parties that I go to and trying to figure out why I was bored, it's because I am interested in moving forward. I'm interested in learning. I'm interested in conversations where people share the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm interested in trying and experimenting with new things, even if that means that I'm going to fail and I have to tell you that I'm failing on this thing. And you guys have an opportunity today to have a different set of conversations. These companies and what you guys are doing is awesome. And the opportunity both here as well as to continue the conversation online and with all sorts of amazing tools from places such as Google. Once I find a Google Hangout, they're awesome, but trying to get into one is I don't know what's happening there. It's like something out of Alice in Wonderland. But the opportunity to have rich, deep conversations is truly what moves entrepreneurship forward. It's how we've grown markets. It's how we've grown not just individual companies, but the conditions by which multiple companies can develop, evolve, foster, grow. And what I have seen is then in these pockets of innovation and where people are coming together for multiple interactions, the opportunities to be a part of that larger community as opposed to any individual company. And certainly looking at yourself as a lone wolf or that visionary. I know those things to not be true. And what I do know to be true is that I have benefited from the conversations that I've had with Jay Adelson in moments that I should have sat there and been oh my God, everything is amazing, and I can't even help myself with my level of awesomeness right now. And instead saying, oh shit, we just had a DDoS attack and we're down and I don't know what to do. And the fact that Jay, at that moment, you remember this? Was oh yeah, I started this company Equinix, I've seen this happen before. And just in that moment, the feeling I had of this is all going to be okay, and I have courage because I'm surrounded by people who are going to help me solve the problems that I have, was magical. And I'm really fortunate to be a part of a small, close-knit community, and you guys are too. And I'm just so grateful to be here today. I'm grateful for Kathy Brooks and bringing me here in the first place, and I just want to thank you guys for having me. So, thanks.